Today's lesson is a closer look at jealousy. Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're going to talk about something called jealousy. You have jealousy when your boyfriend or your girlfriend is talking to somebody else and you feel like, oh, my relationship with that person is threatened. They may like that person more than they like me, so you'll feel jealous or you'll have jealousy.
Absolutely. It's very common in people's love lives. Well, it can be, especially in people's love lives or in their relationships. But of course, you can also have jealousy if someone is richer than you or more successful or has a nicer car or, that kind of thing. You're like, ooh, I want that. I want that person's life. I want their money, their status, their job, their girlfriend, boyfriend. And it makes you unhappy with your own life. We can all be a little jealous, of course. We always kind of look at other people and wish we were a little different, maybe a little bit more like them. But when it makes you unhappy with what you have, when it ruins your relationships or your satisfaction with your daily life, that's when it can become a real problem. So let's have a closer look at it and maybe find ways that we can let it affect us in less negative ways in our lives. A closer look at jealousy. Imagine seeing your sweetheart or best friend enjoying someone else's company. How would that make you feel? Perhaps, like many people, you'd be jealous. At base, jealousy results from a fear of losing someone you cherish to a rival. But why do we feel this way? And should we try to avoid this emotion?
大家好，第一部分首先我们来看到 rival 这个名词的意思是竞争者或是对手。例如 The tennis player was overjoyed when she won the match against her longtime rival. 当那位网球选手在比赛中赢了他的长期对手时，他感到欣喜若狂。又或者说 Another salesperson was Tom's rival for the management position. 另一位业务是 Tom 在争夺管理职缺的竞争对手。
Okay, it's time for us to talk about the first part of our lesson for today. Let's take a look at that title again. A closer look at jealousy. When I see the word jealousy, I also think of the word envy. They're similar in meaning, but slightly different. I think of jealousy as being more applicable to love and relationships, whereas envy is when you really wish you had what somebody else has, like they have an expensive car or a really nice house or something. You may be envious of those persons, but if your girlfriend is talking to the captain of the football team or something like that, then you might be jealous. So let's take a closer look at jealousy. Imagine seeing your sweetheart or best friend enjoying someone else's company. So you've got a sweetheart, your boyfriend, or your girlfriend, or even your best friend, and they're enjoying someone else's company. This is going to happen, of course. You can't possess somebody 100%. They have to have other friends, and they have to talk to other people. So how does that make you feel, especially if your girlfriend is talking to a really rich guy or something like that, and it looks like he's interested in her?
Oh, a really handsome guy, nice clothes, great job, and it makes you feel unhappy. How would that make you feel? Perhaps, maybe, like many people, you'd be jealous. We would often say you would turn green with jealousy. That's the color that we attribute to this emotion. You'd feel jealous. You'd feel like, why is she talking to him? Maybe she likes him more than me. Maybe she's going to leave me and go out with him. Oh, I'm so unhappy. At base, at its most basic level, jealousy results from a fear of losing someone you cherish to a rival. Losing your girlfriend or boyfriend to someone else would, of course, hurt you deeply. It would break your heart. But if you lose your boyfriend or girlfriend to a rival, to someone that you sort of compete with in your own mind, that you feel you're kind of measuring yourself against that person, that would hurt even more because, of course, you know that person. You might come into contact with that person. If your girlfriend goes away and meets a guy in another country and you never see her again, or your boyfriend, that might break your heart. But imagine if you saw them in your daily life with their new lover. Of course, that would hurt you daily more and more. But here's the question. Why do we feel this way? And should we try to avoid this emotion? Yeah, where does jealousy come from? I mean, of course, as they they say, there's a lot of fish in the sea. There are many other wonderful people out there that you could date if someone leaves you. So why do we feel this way? And should we try to avoid this emotion? Or is jealousy, or at least a little bit of it, okay for us, or maybe even good for us?
Yeah, it's a terrible emotion, but I think we're all going to have it from time to time. This, of course, reminds me back in college. I was sweet on a girl. I really wanted to be together with her, but she started going after a guy who was a pharmacy major, and I got really jealous, especially when I realized that he could probably give her cheaper prices on her medication. Okay, that brings us to the end of the first part of our lesson for today. Let's now listen to the second part.
To begin with, jealousy can have many causes. It may be due to a lack of self-confidence, which can be a result of believing that others are better than you. It could also arise from childhood experiences, such as having to compete with your siblings for your parents' attention. Sometimes we have unrealistic expectations of what our partner or friend should do for us, so we feel jealous and disappointed when they fall short of our demands. Jealousy isn't always unhealthy. Occasionally, a little jealousy can result in heightened positive emotions, as it reminds us not to take our loved ones for granted. However, jealousy often leads to negative effects, such as irrational anger and ruined relationships, not to mention unpleasant symptoms like anxiety, depression, and sleep disorders.
第二部分我们来看到片语 to begin with 指的是首先或是第一。例如 You need a better study environment. To begin with, you should turn off the television. 你需要更好的读书环境，首先你应该关掉电视。或者 To begin with, let's have all people in the room introduce themselves. 首先我们先让房内所有人先自我介绍。接下来是片语 fall short of，它有未达到预期的标准或数量的意思。例如 The company fell short of this year's profit goal of $20 million. 该公司未能达到本年度获利$2000万的目标。或是 The result of the midterm exam fell short of Sam's expectations. 期中考试的结果没有达到 Sam 的目标。接着我们看到 heighten 这个单字，它是动词，指的是使增强或是加深。例如The wine heightens the flavor of the beef. 红酒让牛肉风味更升级。又或者说 The horror movie heightened Joyce's fear of clowns. 那部恐怖电影加深了 Joyce 对小丑的恐惧。下一个是片语 take ... for granted. 意思是把...视为理所当然。我们可以说 Anthony is upset that his girlfriend always takes him for granted and he is thinking of breaking up with her. Anthony 不满女友总是把他视为理所当然，所以他正考虑与他分手。再举一个例子 Don't take it for granted that your friends will always be there for you. 别理所当然地认为你的朋友永远会站在你这边。再来看到形容词 irrational， 表示不理性的、不理智的或是荒谬的。例如 Liam has an irrational prejudice to our new coworker and often picks on him. Liam 对我们的新同事有种不理性的偏见，经常找他麻烦。或者 Vincent always becomes irrational after drinking and will not stop yelling. Vincent 酒后总是会失去理智，还会不停大吼大叫。
Okay, so to begin with, when we want to define this word jealousy, to begin with, at the beginning, jealousy can have many causes. Indeed, there are lots of ways for jealousy to come about. It probably doesn't only result from seeing your boyfriend or a girlfriend talk to somebody better than you. It could also happen for other reasons as well.
All right, so what are some of the causes of jealousy? It may be due to a lack of self-confidence, which can be a result of believing that others are better than you. Yes, if you don't believe in yourself, if you lack self-confidence, if you always think that someone's better, smarter, taller, more talented, whatever than you, and it makes you unhappy with yourself, then of course that can cause you to be jealous because you're like, well, of course she wants to be with him or he wants to be with her. They're better than me. They're more good looking. They're this, they're that, because I'm no good. I'm bad. I'm, something like that. Well, then of course this will lead to a lot of problems in your life if you lack self-confidence, if you don't believe in yourself and think think that you are worthy of good things, then of course you're expecting bad things. And of course you wouldn't be surprised if someone would leave you for another person because everyone's better than me. But of course that's not true.
Yep, again, it could be due to lack of self-confidence. You just don't have good self-esteem. And, of course, you believe that other people are better than you. And nowadays, of course, it's easy to feel that way. There's always somebody who's got a more expensive car than you do. They've got a job that pays more money than you do. Indeed, we can always see examples of this relatively easily. It could also arise from childhood experiences, such as having to compete with your siblings for your parents' attention. So that's another cause of jealousy. It could come from childhood experiences, like when you want to compete with your sibling for your parents' attention. Of course, if you have brothers and sisters, you'll probably know what we're talking about here. A sibling, of course, is your brother or your sister. And, of course, you all want to get mommy's attention or daddy's attention more than you want that attention going to your siblings. And, of course, if mom seems to be spending more time with your brother, then you're going to be jealous of that.
Interesting. Here's another one. Sometimes we have unrealistic expectations of what our partner or friend should do for us, so we feel jealous and disappointed when they fall short of our demands. Very interesting. So this might be too much self-confidence. You have unrealistic expectations of what your partner or friend should do for you. The things that you think the relationship should give to you are a little bit beyond what most people would think are okay or sort of required. These are unrealistic expectations. You expect too much from other people. If you're feeling down, you think that they should cheer you up. If you're unhappy, you think that they should make your unhappiness the most important thing in their life. And then when they don't do that, when they're not always there for you whenever you need them emotionally, you feel let down by them. Now, they might say, well, come on, it's not my job to make you happy. But if you have sort of different expectations or unrealistic expectations that are beyond realism or beyond what most people would understand to be expected and normal and okay, then you'll constantly feel let down by other people, and that could make you feel jealous and disappointed when these people fall short of your demands or basically don't measure up to the high levels or the high standards you think they should reach.
Right. You might have a boyfriend and you think he should be your counselor, your supporter, your financial source, all those things. And if he doesn't supply those things, then you'll feel that he has fallen short of those things, and that's where jealousy can arise. Here in the next paragraph, it says, jealousy isn't always unhealthy, okay? Jealousy isn't always bad. Occasionally, sometimes, maybe about 10% of the time or so, a little jealousy can result in heightened positive emotions, as it reminds us not to take our loved ones for granted. So yes, indeed, it can serve a good purpose in our lives. Sometimes it can result in a heightened positive emotion. If something's heightened, it's improved, it's brought to a higher level. And again, sometimes we take our sweethearts for granted. We just think they're always going to be there. So again, if you see your boyfriend talking to a pretty girl or something like that, you may stop and realize, maybe I do have a pretty good boyfriend after all.
All right, that's probably a nice thing to be reminded of occasionally in a gentle way. However, jealousy often leads to negative effects. Yes, there are some positive things that come from feeling a little jealous once in a while, but it does often lead to negative effects, such as irrational anger and ruined relationships, not to mention unpleasant symptoms like anxiety, depression, and sleep disorders. So yes, a little bit of jealousy can be okay, but too much, and often jealousy comes with way too much, it can lead to negative effects, or bad things can result from jealousy. Irrational anger and ruined relationships. You get angry at your girlfriend just for talking to another guy, or angry with your boyfriend just for talking to another girl at a party. You blow up at them. You were talking to them and I know you you love them and you're going to leave me and blah, blah, blah. This is irrational. This is beyond normal, beyond sensible, beyond what most people would think is okay or sort of understandable emotions. You explode over something that really is a minor little thing, and this can be very irrational, and this can ruin relationships. So it's one of those things, the more jealous you are about the person that they might leave you, the more likely they are to leave you because they don't want to be in this kind of negative, toxic relationship. And then when we say not to mention, these are kind of obvious. These are kind of easy to expect or to guess. As a result of jealousy, there will be unpleasant symptoms like anxiety. You'll be stressed. You'll be nervous. If your boyfriend's going out with his friends one night, you're like, well, don't talk to any girls. And if you talk to any girls, you have to tell me and you have to call me every 30 minutes or something like that. I'm going to sit at home feeling really worried the whole night. That's a lot of anxiety for no reason. Depression, you'll feel very sad after you have that big fight when you got irrationally angry at them. And then this might lead to sleep disorders. You don't sleep very much. Your skin gets bad. Your hair starts falling out. All these terrible things that can happen. A sleep disorder is basically you can't have good, healthy sleep. You're always waking up in the middle of the night, maybe to check your phone and see if your boyfriend is online talking to someone, or your girlfriend has tweeted out a picture or sent out a picture and some guy has liked it. This upsets you so much. This is where the jealousy has gotten way out of hand.
Okay, we're at the end of the second part of our lesson for today. Let's wrap things up now and listen now to the third part.
So don't let jealousy get out of hand. If you discuss your feelings calmly with your loved one, then you can devise a mutually beneficial solution together.
第三部分最后介绍形容词 beneficial， 意思是有益的、有利的或是有帮助的。例如 Puzzle solving is beneficial not only for children's brains, but also for those of adults. 解谜不仅对儿童的大脑有益，对成人的大脑也有帮助。再看一个例子 The new trade agreement will be beneficial for both countries. 新的贸易协定对两国都有利。
Okay, so the third and final part here says, so don't let jealousy get out of hand. If something gets out of hand, it gets out of control. In other words, don't let jealousy consume you. Don't let it affect you too much. Yes, it's okay to be jealous from time to time. It reminds you not to take your partner for granted. So don't let it get out of hand, though. Don't be ridiculous about jealousy and cause problems like starting fights or causing other kinds of problems like driving erratically or performing poorly in school, things like that.
Yes, absolutely. Don't let it become irrational. If you discuss your feelings calmly with your loved one, then you can devise a mutually beneficial solution together. And this is true for many relationship problems. Talk about it. Communication is key, folks. Discuss your feelings when you're calm, not when you're angry, not after the party as you're driving home and you're like, why were you talking to that guy, that good-looking guy? What were you talking about? No, do it later. Do it the next day when you're calm at breakfast over a cup of coffee or something. Have reasonable conversations about this. And then together, mutually, you can devise a mutually beneficial solution. To devise is to create something. To come up with a plan is to devise a plan or something like that. Devise an idea. Devise a proposal. Basically, you're creating something. You're making it together. And this is mutual. Mutually is for both of us. This will be good for both of us. We're doing it together. You're not saying, I need you to do this. You must do this. You must send me a message every 30 minutes at the party, because then the other guy or the girl will say, no, I can't do that. That's crazy. I'm not going to be on my phone all night texting you. No, you have to do it in a way that works and benefits and is acceptable to both sides. It is mutually agreed upon. Everyone agrees that this is what we'll do. And it's beneficial. It's positive. It's healthy. It's good for you. Something beneficial. Vitamins are beneficial. Exercise is beneficial. A good night night's sleep is beneficial. These are good for you. They're healthy. They will make you better. So together, come up with a plan of how you can address the things that cause jealousy, and then everyone will hopefully be okay with that. We'll be able to live with that. We'll respect each other's needs and boundaries, and then the relationship will be better.
Sounds very reasonable. Yeah, talk about this. Of course, realize that jealousy is natural. You're going to feel that way to some degree. So if you talk about it with your partner, perhaps you can avoid some problems in the future. Okay, we're at the end of our discussion for today. It's time now to listen to Hanny, our beloved Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文一开始要我们想象看到你的心上人或最好的朋友正在享受其他人的陪伴。它的句子是写说 Imagine seeing your sweetheart or best friend enjoying someone else's company。 那这边有两个重点。第一个重点是动词 imagine， 它有想象、设想的意思，后面可以接名词或动名词，那也可以接用 that 或者是 WH 疑问词所引导的名词子句。举例来说 It's hard to imagine what it'd be like to live on another planet。好难想象住在别的星球上会是什么样子。好，那第二个重点，我们是看到课文句子里的 see， 它是感官动词，表示看到、看见。那我们来整理一下相关用法。感官动词是指看、听、闻、感觉等等之类的动词，像 see、watch、look at、notice、listen to, hear, smell, feel 等等，用来表达说透过感官所观察到的周遭人事物。那用法会是感官动词加受词加受词补语。那这个受词补语可以使用原形动词啊、现在分词 VING 或是过去分词 PP， 不过这三种用法的意义不同。首先我们来看第一种，感官动词加受词加原形动词，这表示观察到事实或过程。例如I didn't notice anyone leave this room. 我没有注意到有任何人离开这间房间。好，那第二个用法是感官动词加受词加现在分词 VING， 这是表达观察到动作正在进行，就像课文里面的用法，它在受词的后面接了 VING enjoying。 那我们也来造个例句 They heard someone talking downstairs. 他们听到楼下有人正在讲话。那第三个用法是感官动词加受词加过去分词 PP， 这是表示受词的被动状态。举例来说 We saw a car stuck in the mud. 我们看见一辆车卡在泥泞里。好，那读到课文第二部分最后一句，他提到嫉妒通常会产生负面影响，例如不理性的愤怒和人际关系的破坏，更不用说像焦虑、忧郁和睡眠失调等令人不悦的症状了。好，那文中他用到 not to mention 来表达更不用说、更别说或是遑论怎么样怎么样，它常常会接在肯定句的后面，用来加强前一句的肯定陈述，像是 The dish is delicious and easy to make, not to mention healthy. 这道料理好吃又容易制作，更别说是有益健康了。好，那另外 much less 或是 let alone 也可以表达更遑论、更不用说怎么样怎么样，不过它们常常会接在否定句或是带有否定意味的子句之后，用来加强前面的否定陈述。例如She didn't want to look at him, let alone talk to him. 她连看都不想看他，更不用说是跟他讲话了。好，那以上是今天重点整理，我们来回顾今天单字吧。
Rival. The two athletes became rivals because both had stood a chance of winning the championship. Sibling. Cynthia often takes care of her younger siblings while her parents are still at work. Unrealistic. Setting unrealistic goals can lead to disappointment when they prove challenging to achieve. Occasionally. Eating ice cream every day isn't good for your health, but it's okay to enjoy treats like that occasionally. Disorder. After conducting several tests, the doctor diagnosed the patient with a rare disorder. Devise. To address the production delays, the factory devised a solution to increase efficiency. Mutually. The two nations are trying to work out a mutually acceptable trade deal that would benefit both countries. Beneficial. Maintaining a regular sleep schedule is beneficial in various ways.
Discussion starter starts now.
Here's our discussion starter for today. The question is, how would you recommend someone deal with feelings of jealousy? How would your suggested approach help?
One way to address jealousy is by, as we said in the article, talking about it calmly in a reasonable and very respectful kind of way, being respectful to your partner and to yourself and to your needs. This would enable the individual to be free with their with what they need, with their expression of their desires and what makes them happy, and they can listen to the other person in a reasonable way, and together I think you can probably find most common ground. Most of the things you'll talk about you can agree upon, because after all, you're a couple, right? There was something magic thing you had together, and so that means you probably like each other and probably think about a lot of these things in generally the same kind of way, but you have to talk.
Yeah, you do have to talk, you do have to communicate, but I would suggest that you trust that other person, and this approach can help someone handle jealousy by not getting out of hand, by not getting upset if you see them talking to someone else, and besides, if they do talk to another person and they end up liking them more than they like you, then they don't deserve to be with you.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Mike.
I am Roger. See you next time.